Can you believe this? Sometimes it's not good to be rich. I just posted a $91 million bond, 91 million, on a fake story, totally made up story. Think of it, 91 million. I could say things about what it would cost normally. 91 million. Based on false accusations made about me by a woman that I knew nothing about, didn't know, never heard of. I know nothing about her. She wrote a book, she said things. And when I denied it, I said, it's so crazy, it's false. I got sued for defamation.
It's a bunch of malarkey.
It's more than malarkey. So this idea is a bunch of malarkey, what we're talking about here.
An economy based on wind. I never understood wind. You know, I know windmills very much. I've studied it better than anybody. I know it's very expensive. They're made in China and Germany mostly. Very few made here, almost none. But they're manufactured tremendous, if you're into this, tremendous fumes, gases are spewing into the atmosphere. You know, we have a world, right? So the world is tiny compared to the universe. So tremendous amount of fumes and everything. You talk about the carbon footprint. Fumes are spewing into the air, right? Spewing. Whether it's in China, Germany, it's going into the air. It's our air, their air, everything, right? So they make these things, and then they put them up. And if you own a house within vision of some of these monsters, your house is worth 50% of the price. They're noisy. They kill the birds. You want to see a bird graveyard? If you just go, take a look, a bird graveyard, go under a windmill someday. You'll see more birds than you've ever seen ever in your life. You know, in California, they were killing the bald eagle. If you shoot a bald eagle, they want to put you in jail for 10 years. A windmill will kill many bald eagles. It's true. And you know what? After a certain number, they make you turn the windmill off. That's true, by the way. They make you turn it off. And yet, if you killed one, they put you in jail. That's okay. But why is it okay for these windmills to destroy the bird population? And that's what they're doing.
It's a bunch of malarkey.
Two nights ago, we all heard Crooked Joe's angry, dark, hate-filled rant of a State of the Union address. Didn't it bring us together? Remember, he said, I'm going to bring the country together. I'm going to bring it together. The shades of color, they're like sort of white, but one's like an orange white. It's my favorite color, orange.
A bunch of malarkey.
I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the you can do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars.
It's true with stars that they can grab women by the
Well, that's what it's. If you look over the last million years, I guess that's been largely true. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
And you consider yourself to be a star?
I think you can say that, yeah.
I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas, I need 11,000 votes. Give me a break. Why do you keep fighting this thing? It just doesn't make sense.
We have to stand by our numbers. We believe our numbers are right.
What are we going to do here, folks? I only need 11,000 votes. Fellas.
It's a bunch of malarkey. More than malarkey, man. It's more than malarkey. So this idea is a bunch of malarkey, what we're talking about here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the political gamer.
What up, everybody? Welcome in, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. What it do, everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I still have to get the timing on that change right, but it's all good. We'll work on that this weekend. What's going on, everybody? Let's check everything. Everything's doing good. So, T-Dog, like I was telling you, welcome in, T-Dog, man. Welcome back, bro. So, I just got a new Asus Prime ROG keyboard right here. So, it's gonna be awesome to be able to install that. Hopefully, this is what's wrong with my old gaming PC. It's got all my games. I'm sure this is what's wrong. I had like a actual IT guy look at it at work, so he was pretty confident that this is what it was. So, you know, dropped $100 and there we go. Wow. Yeah. I mean, pretty cool. I haven't even opened it yet, so let's do an unboxing right now. How about that? Do we just want to rip into the thing? I think we're just going to rip into the thing, right? It's a tough sticker. Hang on. I'm going to use this claw that I use for repairing computer components to rip through the... Dude, that is an insane... That is an insane sticker. That sticker is to make sure that you're not stealing it, even though it was shipped to my house. That is what that is. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Unboxing. Oh, look at that anti-static bag. Look at that. Used to use these at Laser Quest all the time. Anti-static bag. Very nice. Let's pull it out, okay? Here we go. We're gonna make this a YouTube short right here. Oh, look at that beauty. This is the Asus Prime B450M-A2 motherboard. Let's see. All right, let's do the reveal. I had to use my own CPU that was on there. So here we go. Boom. Oh, look at that, baby. Look at that, baby. Good stuff right there. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty, it's like, it's gorgeous, right? Like, it's nice. I don't see anything wrong with this motherboard. I hope that it's the right thing. It's the first time. What's funny? Because, like, are you saying, like, if it doesn't work? Yeah, that would be hilarious if it doesn't work. But who knows? There's the BIOS, okay. The reason I got this one over some of the other ones is because this one up here has a BIOS reset switch right here. So I can just hit it to return to the original BIOS. So that's going to be really nice in case this messes up. I met you when I was 8 or 9, but now I'm 11. When did you meet me when you were like 8 or 9? You talking about on stream here? Yeah, man. Like, it was a while ago. Let's see. I'll tell you exactly when it was. It was 2 years ago. It was. You've been following since September 2nd, 2022. So it was not even 2 years, but I mean it's there. But yeah. So I remember you've sent 262 messages. So thanks for coming in. Thanks for being here. It was a while ago though, but yeah, man, it was awesome because I remember you followed the first night we were playing Fortnite together, but pretty cool. So this is the keyboard, the motherboard, everybody. It's the new one. So we're gonna be installing that this weekend into the old one. Let's take a look at this back plate that comes with it. The new back plate. Now, you know, it looks pretty simple. It's nothing too crazy. I honestly have never installed one of these, so this is going to be fantastic to go through and do. I might even make a video out of it. If you guys already hadn't followed, remember to go follow on TikTok, and that's probably where I'm going to be posting the video. Anyway, we got business to get into tonight, so we had a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, you know. We've got one that is very adult-rated conversation, which T-Dog, you got to be going to bed anyway, but that'll be later on tonight that we're talking about that, dealing with the Olympics. But guys, so one of the big things we got to talk about is what is going on with Trump for the next week. What's going to be happening? All of his businesses are going to be taken away from him. Should I say his New York businesses are going to be taken away from him? Yo, be back in like 10 minutes. Got to go cook food. Bro, what are you cooking that's going to take 10 minutes? Like, what do you got that's for real? Like, what do you got that's going to be there in like 10 minutes? Yo, we got an ad break coming up in 17 seconds, guys. I'm going to drop you a ad for Donald Trump. It's an anti-Trump ad. We're going to raise the volume, and we're going to send this going here. I'll catch you guys on the other side for those of y'all that are not subscribed.
And people look around and they say, am I better off now than I was 4 years ago? The answer to that is
President Trump's proposed budget plan could threaten America's ability to fight health threats.
This is their new hoax. They have no clue.
We have it under control. It's going to be just fine.
The U.S. leading the world in deaths.
So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
At some point, that's going to sort of just disappear, I hope.
half of the U.S. population is without a job.
We have not seen numbers like that since the Great Depression.
Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago?
Store shelves nationwide are dwindling or totally empty.
The disinfectant. Is there a way we can do something like that by injection?
Testing's frankly overrated.
1,000 Americans are dying a day.
They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is.
Are you better off today than you were 4 years ago?
They cannot run on are you better off than you were 4 years ago.
All right, guys, we are back. So that was an ad that came out. It was by Midas Touch on YouTube. It was the Midas Touch Network. It was an anti-Trump ad that just goes into, you know, the big fear-mongering that a lot of Republicans do. Speaking for my people, you know, we're big on, like, prep, right? We're big on, like, making sure that, you know, we've got guns, we've got food, we've got, you know, different things stored away for, you know, a rainy day. We also don't throw a lot of stuff away. That's why you see a lot of rednecks with a whole bunch of junk, is because we never like to throw anything away. But, you know, it's one of those, are you better than you were 4 years ago when Trump was running things? Well, I'll be honest with you. 4 years ago is not the good thing to talk about, because that was the height of the pandemic, was 4 years ago. We had so many people dying in America. We were leading the world in people dying 4 years ago. So that's one of those things that you got to remember, that we just absolutely don't want to go back to 4 years ago, because, yeah, it's just... it's messed up. In fact, you know, Trump, you know what?
You're fucked. You are absolutely fucked.
You are fucked, my guy. You know, so what we have going on is, ultimately last month, we had the findings of the defamation lawsuit that came through for E. Jean Carroll, and it was somewhere around $100 million. I think it was like 80 84 point something million dollars that had to come through with, you know, the taxes and things like that go into it, the interest. E. Jean Carroll pretty much had somewhere around like $96 million that had to be put on bonds. Trump was able to secure that because he is appealing that. And how that works is for him to be able to appeal, he had to go through and get that money and put it into the court. So the court would hold it until the appeal held, and then it would be able to be dished out. You know, this is one of the sad things. Before we even go into what's going on next week, this is one of the sad things, right? We'll get into that tonight as the 2 tiers of justice, but as you'll see, this is a second tier of justice than what you and I would ever have to do. And this is really upsetting because this is the stuff that Trump was supposed to stop, right? But look at it. It's happening. It's happening right here, right now, in front of your eyes, and these people are blindly following this loser. So then we go into the second finding that was last month, and we had Judge Engoron in New York found that Trump was committing fraud through his businesses, and he defrauded the New York State government and the great people of New York, as they put it. And they ultimately came up with $400 and some odd billion dollars, or $1 million. $400 some odd $1 million is what Trump had to end up paying. So roughly $500 million is what he's having to pay just out of that settlement alone, and then or that cash out alone, and basically that's going to include the interest and everything like that. But ultimately, it was $300 and some odd million that was found to have been, falsely gained in the state of New York, and then you add about $100 million of interest on top of that, and you end up with the $400 million, 480 something million. So you end up at, or 64 million. So you end up somewhere around $500 million if you just round up for conversation purposes. And this is what's going to be happening with Trump, right? So he's got until next week to post these bonds to be able to have his appeal filed. So if by next week he doesn't have the funds to be able to put down to be able to set up for that appeal, then the district attorney, Letitia James, the special prosecutor, is able to go through and start pulling Trump's properties or anything of value that she can and liquidate it to be able to pay off that debt. Now, that does mean that Trump can still appeal if he ends up getting that money that comes in, and if he ends up being able to put forward the money before she starts taking property, he can appeal. He can actually appeal after, once there's enough money that has been liquidated to be able to cover the cost, if he decides to appeal. But it's up to Letitia James what she wants to end up going forward and liquidating, right? There's 40 Wall Street or Trump Tower. There's a couple of golf resorts, and maybe some casinos, some things like that. But if it's outside of the state of New York, she's not really able to touch that stuff right away. She is able to go have a sheriff take over the facility and kind of run middleman on the facility until she's able to legally go through and take possession of that through the courts. And that will, of course, add time, and I think ultimately that's what Trump wants. But still, with that being said, like, this is what's going to be happening over the next week, right? So it's March 25th is when this is going to happen. That was ironically the date that Trump's New York case was going to be starting. We did have a delay in that case, and basically, a lot of people go, when is Trump going to face trial, right? But the biggest thing is like, we are innocent until proven guilty. It is important to note that Trump has been proven guilty twice now. But we are innocent until proven guilty. And in this whole new trial, when we're talking about the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels and a Playboy model for the affair that he had that was off the books that he used campaign funds for, which is campaign finance violations, and all allegedly. But with that being said, that was supposed to be starting on Monday, but there is some laws, that the prosecutor has to follow, right? So one of the things is you don't break the law, and we can go all the way to Fani Willis in Georgia, right? The issue going on with Trump in Georgia is a prime example of that. Fonnie Willis had this, affair, an illicit affair with Nathan Wade, an employee of hers, basically, that she hired on. And, it wasn't proven that she was benefiting financially, but it was almost proven that she committed perjury along with Nathan Wade. So ultimately, that case is still going forward. Nathan Wade was fired from the case by Fonnie Willis to be able to keep the whole thing moving forward. But even with that being said, that is the problem, right? Is when you're supposed to be the protector of the law, you're supposed to be the good guys, and you end up breaking the law and you try to hide it. It's not like you're like, I broke the law, I'm bad, I'm heading out of here, there's the door, I'll see myself out. No, you think you're special. You think you can get through it. You think I do all this good, and these people can give me just a minute to be able to have, my fun with this special prosecutor that I hired. And, that's the big issue, right? Is it's not about fun. It's not about you getting a pass. It's about the law. It's about the law that keeps criminals on that side of it, and the law that keeps us honorable civilians on this side of it. And Fonnie Willis seems to have broken the law. Now, here's the thing. She broke the law because of perjury. If anything, it wasn't illegal for Fonnie Willis to be dating Nathan Wade, despite what anyone will tell you. You can go look it up. There is not a statute. There is not a criminal code. There's nothing that actually prevents Fonnie Willis from dating Nathan Wade. What it is unethical. 100% true. It's unethical. No problem. And I'll agree with you on that. And I don't even like Fonnie Willis because of this, because it's definitely unethical, and it shows that she's willing to push the boundary as well. And that's not what we need in this country, right? Like, especially when we're going after someone like Trump. So now that we've gone through the Georgia stuff, let's get back to the New York stuff. So next week was supposed to be Trump's starting trial for the hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. However, the prosecution wanted to give the defense, i.e. Donald Trump's team, the ability to review documents, to be able to go forward and see some of the evidence that they have in the discovery process of that. And if you don't know what discovery is where the prosecutor ends up having evidence and they're able to go forward and show the evidence, so that way the defense can make a defense about it, right? You just don't find out in the middle of the courtroom, and lawyers are not like rushing to go through and figure out, a defense real quick. Like, they actually get all the evidence that the prosecution has gathered all at the beginning of the trial before it even starts, so that way they're able to go through and create a defense, right? Like, that's what happens. And a good example of this would be if you guys have Netflix. If you've ever seen a Netflix documentary called Staircased, it's a fantastic documentary, and that goes into a little bit about discovery and how evidence is laid out and how you're able to get that evidence. Now, it's important to note that the defense doesn't have to provide evidence in the discovery, because the defense's job is defense, right? You're innocent until proven guilty. So you actually don't have to provide any evidence to the prosecution. You get to file the evidence without letting the prosecutors know. They might be able to figure it out that you filed some things and they can go looking for it, but you don't have to give it to them until you enter it into the exhibit as we have, contradictory evidence we want to bring in. Judge, can we do that? Yes, you can. You bring it in and boom, bombshell. It's like a video that shows some other person committing, the murder or the crime or whatever it is that happened, and bam, that person is scot-free. And that's normally when they'll say, I push to have all charges removed from my client, so and so forth. And there you go. And hopefully, it's over and we actually had the wrong person, right? Not in this case, not with Trump. But with that being said, we're going to end up getting to that point where there's so many lawsuits against Trump that are currently active. Like, there are so many court cases that are currently active that it's going to be hard to follow. And that's one of the things we got to get moving on and kind of, dialed in on, figured out. So I was hoping that this upcoming Monday would be able to see the hush money payments case, but it looks like we're about 30 days out from that. So sometime in April is when we're looking at that. The reason that next Monday is so big, though, is that's when Letitia James, the special prosecutor in New York, is able to start going after and liquidating Donald Trump's New York assets. So this is going to be interesting to see what she's going to do. I'm not exactly sure which asset she's going for. I mean, Trump Tower, right? She's going for Trump Tower. She even said, I walk by 40 Wall Street every day. So let's see what happens. She might be able to go for Trump Tower. She can go for a couple of hotels, go for a couple of maybe golf courses or golf clubs, and then go into the casinos as well. But we'll have to wait and see, right? So that's what's going on with Donald Trump right now. Fantastic. One of the other things is it snuck up on me, everybody, is that we actually ended up having some overall, we ended up having some primaries this week, right? So we had a couple of primaries, and the big thing is we're talking about now that we're in the general primary. We're outside of the general primary. We're into the general election, right? So now that we're in the general election, one of the big things that we have to talk about is, of course, who's going to win, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? We don't know, right? Who's going to win? And it is a toss-up, right? But for those of you that are in agreement with me that Donald Trump should never be president again, we've got some good news that have come in. So we're going to take a look at some of these presidential primary results, and we're going to see what's going on with some of these primary results, right? So let's see here. All right, so if we go through and we look at some of these primary results, what we have like in Ohio, for instance, right? So like Trump has been saying that there is, Republicans are 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98% MAGA, which is just not true. Ultimately, when Republicans have been given a choice, roughly 65% of Republicans support Donald Trump and support the MAGA movement. That is not 98% or not 92% of Republicans. It's roughly 60 to 65%. A majority of Republicans, nevertheless, but not enough to win an election. And what's interesting here is, yes, Trump is the official Republican nominee as of this week. Laura Trump, his daughter, took over the Republican National Committee. And she definitely has already endorsed the former president, Donald J. Trump, in that he gained 76 delegates from Ohio, which is bringing Trump's total to, let's see here. Where are we at? Trump's total to 1,623 delegates for the primary season. Now that we're in general elections, we've got a lot more to talk about here. So what's important to remember about that is, even though Nikki Haley dropped out on March 6th, though dropped out a while ago, couple weeks it's been, we still have Trump attacking Nikki Haley. We also have Trump attacking Ron DeSantis. But with that being said, and that's out of nowhere, right? Like Ron DeSantis kind of kissed the ring, and I'm not sure why Trump is still attacking him, but it mainly because DeSantis has to kind of move back on his, anti-woke agenda in Florida because a lot's happening there. But if we look here, Nikki Haley is pulling in on this debate. She had 94 delegates, right? So there's that. Let's choose our state. Let's go back to Ohio here, which is the state that I wanted to bring up, because Ohio is normally a pretty red state. It is swing at times, but it's a red state, at least in the it won Donald Trump in 2016. If we look here, 79.2%. So yet again, this is not the 80 or the 92, 94, 95, 98% MAGA, right? This is 79.2%. Now, this is a high number. This is a really good number for a Republican in a primary, not a general election. So we're seeing numbers that are down here in the general election because the primary season is over, right? This was kind of the conclusion of it, but this is the tail end. So what we see now is that there are options on the table, and the option is Donald Trump and no one else. That's the other option. And 14.4% of people chose no one else. They chose Nikki Haley to be their candidate. She dropped out weeks ago. 14.4% of the registered Republicans in Ohio decided to vote for Nikki Haley. 3.4% decided to vote for Ron DeSantis. Together, this is nearly 200,000 votes. Okay, and we haven't even gotten to a really good state over here, or a really good set of numbers over here for Chris Christie, which is 19,896, 1.8% of the population in Ohio alone. Ohio is probably not going to be one of the deciding states here in the 2024 election, but if it is, this right here will show you where we're at. So Chris Christie is anti-Trump as you're going to get. And if you don't like Chris Christie, then you might like Ron DeSantis. If you don't like Ron DeSantis, you might like Nikki Haley. If you don't like any of these candidates, you're probably going to be in the Trump era, right? But nearly where are we at? So 14, 3 is going to be 17, 18 with this, roughly 19 to 20% of the Republican Party in Ohio does not like Donald Trump. And all these people are out. Nikki Haley's out. Ron DeSantis is out. Chris Christie's out. All these people are out. Let's see what Vivek is. Vivek got 1.3%, so 14,000 votes. So it's important to remember that even stands with Vivek. Vivek's been out forever. They voted in. Now, here's the thing. Mail-in ballots, like these could have actually come in a long time ago. Maybe they've shifted over. But even with that being said, they had options to vote just for Donald Trump, and they didn't. They had options to vote for these other candidates, and they did. So even if it is early ballot, early voting, it's not looking good for Donald Trump in a couple of states. This right here is a Republican stronghold state. We're not looking good. 20% of the electorate doesn't want you. That's not nothing. That's not everything. The majority, overwhelming majority, nearly 80% of the electorate wants you, but this is 20% of the electorate. And if 20% of the electorate across the board doesn't want Donald Trump, he's not able to win. He can't lose more than 5 or 8% of the vote, if that. So that's an interesting little tidbit that we found out this week. If you're looking at the polls, let's go to let's go to Wisconsin, and let's see what was happening in Wisconsin. So this was on April 2nd. Results expected April 2nd. Updated at 9. So we don't have anything for Wisconsin. So that one's not over yet. So the primary season is over. We're just getting these kind of couple states coming in here. Results in. Let's go to Michigan. Is Michigan a good one to hit up? I think it would be. It's another big results in. There we go. So 68% of Republicans. Nikki Haley got 26.6%. This is huge. Right? So if you're looking at the general election and you're saying Trump, and you're not saying Biden, or if you're saying Biden, and not Trump, this is something to look out for. These swing states here. Let's go through a couple more. So we got Michigan here. It's 68.1%. What up, Tater? Trump 2044, man. That's what it is, man. Dude, I'm so sorry you couldn't have been in the first run, man. My opener was killer. I loved it. I hope that you get to watch the VOD. I spent a lot of time doing this, man, and it's great. We just got one message for us if Trump is elected, though, right? Like, if Trump can make these numbers work for him, there's just one message that we're echoed, and thank goodness TikTok is here to give us this.
You're fucked. You are absolutely fucked.
That is so true. If Trump wins, we are fucked. But I don't think he's going to. Tater, let me tell you, what I was doing is breaking down here. We're going to the swing states. Wisconsin isn't in yet. It's April 2nd is going to be their expected their expected results. But here in Michigan, this is a great state to go to, right? This is a swing state. It's a state that decides the election here and there. If we go there, we're at 68.1% for Donald Trump. He cannot win with 70% of the Republican vote. He cannot win. Absolutely cannot, will not win. What doesn't take into consideration, right, is for the primaries, we have to vote for where we're aligned. If you're a registered Democrat, if you're a registered Republican, that's where we're at. We don't get swing votes in the primaries because it takes a lot to go and to say that I'm a Republican now, but I'm not voting for Trump, but I'm going to change over to being a Democrat for the primary. So you actually have to register as a Democrat to be able to vote in the primary for a Democrat. But in the general election, you can vote for whoever you want. So the big thing to remember here is that we don't see the independent voters, right? So the independent voters can swing either way. But what's important to remember is the independent voters decide the elections always. But if you're starting -4, -5, -6, -7 points down in the election polls versus Biden, when you do this course correct, it's not looking good that you're going to win. You're the severe underdog at 2 points. You're already the underdog, right? It's a close election, could swing your way, but probably not. We're at 70% of the electorate here. This is a significant drop for Trump across the board. Yet again, there's not 98% MAGA in this country. Here's where we're at right here. Nikki Haley had 26.6%. Nikki Haley voters and Ron DeSantis voters are not going to vote. Well, Ron DeSantis voters might vote for Trump, but if they were here and had the option, they voted for Ron DeSantis. He's dropped out a long time ago. Nikki Haley voters, same thing. This right here, she was in the race during this time. This right here, 26.6%, roughly 30% of people that are aligned with the Republican Party in Michigan decided to vote for Nikki Haley. This does not look good for Trump. Let's go to one more. Let's go to Arizona. It's another state here. So we got 43. There we go. Look at this, right? So we have a significant drop in who's going to be able to vote for Nikki Haley here. We obviously are at 18. We were at roughly 30%. We're at, roughly 19% here, just underneath 20. But with that being said, still 20% of Republicans in this state do not want to vote for Trump. And with that being said, if they don't want to vote for Trump, and they can do one of two things. They can decide to abstain from voting. I'm not going to vote for Joe Biden, a Democrat. I can't do it, blah, blah, blah. Or I can't vote for Trump, but I'm going to vote for Biden. So one of two things. They can just abstain from voting, and nothing's going to happen to the Republican numbers. They're not going to skyrocket up, right? Because there's not those people voting for the Republicans. That means that Joe Biden, his numbers are going to go up relatively fast. The other thing is, those same people that were going to abstain from voting and not support a Democrat but not vote for Donald Trump, because that's their way of getting back is by protesting, and that's their right, is to not vote for Trump. If they do decide to vote for Joe Biden, if they said, I have to ensure that Trump never is elected again, and they do vote for Joe Biden, that means that it's over. If that wave starts to crash on the beach, it's over. The blue wave is hit. The Republicans have lost. They're probably going to lose the House as well as maintain, at least the Democrats will maintain in the Senate, if not gain a seat or two. And then they'll gain the White House. So we'll get some shit done finally. And maybe Republicans will learn to stop being fucking idiots. Like, don't be a fucking idiot. Sit there, like they're sitting there, and every time they're supposed to be doing a bill, right? They're supposed to sit there, have a bill, pass bills. They're supposed to be doing things for us. We sent them to Capitol Hill to make rules, to make laws, to help us out. They sit there and they go, so we're going to vote on this bill. What happens? This is what happens.
Let's talk about your cable ace award.
Let's talk about buttered sausage. Talk about buttered sausage, where it comes from, what it does. Why is it doing what it's doing? Get it out of my face. What about buttered
sausage?
That's not your jam. It's not your thing. You don't like it?
It's not my jam. I don't buy jam. I buy honey, and I kiss it on the lips.
I love that so much. I don't know why the AI generation of Gary Busey is so good, but it is so good. It is fantastic. I love it. I don't know why. But if we had the Republicans able to learn, they would have learned a while ago. They would have learned that in 2018 they lost seats. They would have learned in 2020 they lost seats. They would have learned in 2022 that they lost seats. But they're not learning. So this is the way that they're going to learn. The blue wave's going to hit. It's going to crash on the beach. It's going to destroy everything that they have around them in their fake reality. And they're going to realize that they've been funneling into a cult. They've been drinking Kool-Aid that is laced with some toxin. They're going to wake up and they're going to go, let's get back to lawmaking. And they're going to be talking about, well, let's cross the aisle and let's make some deals with Democrats. And then America will wake up and start voting for Republicans again. But this could be the death of the Republican Party as we know it if they don't change right now. And that's the big, scary, elephant in the room, right? What if they don't change? I don't have a prediction on that. It's too scary. I've met too many people that are rational people. Then they open their mouth and they sound just like that clip when they start talking about Trump and election denialism and do you know what Joe Biden has done and drill baby drill, right? So that's what brings us to another topic tonight. So that's it for the primary results and the polls and everything. Let's get to this, okay? So drill baby drill. One of Republicans' favorite things to say. Donald Trump likes to say it. Drill baby drill. Gary fucking Busey. I know. Listen, one more time.
Let's talk about your cable ASA war.
Let's talk about buttered sausage. Talk about buttered sausage, where it comes from, what it does. Why is it doing what it's doing? Get it out of my face. What about buttered sausage?
That's not your jam. It's not your thing. You don't like it?
It's not my jam. I don't buy jam. I buy honey, and I kiss it on the lips.
It's just so good. Right? Like I kiss it on the lips. So drill baby drill is Trump's biggest thing, right? I'm gonna drill baby drill baby drill baby. So here's the thing. So this is what I wanted to look up. A lot of people will tell you that the government is lying about numbers. But I debated with Common Grounds Live a couple weeks ago. It looks like on Friday we're gonna try and come back to it. I haven't seen him live in a couple days. I'm gonna hit him up later tonight, see if he's still on for Friday, if he's feeling okay, if he's under the weather. I don't know. And we're going to school him again. If you didn't see the VOD, go look at the VOD. I know it's 5 hours. It was a great debate. I've got some clips that are on my page. Go find those clips. The guy may not understand what the term paramour is and meaning a forbidden love. He was talking about other things, which was weird. It meant. But outside of he may not know some terminologies, he was talking about go to the government websites. And if you go to the government websites, it's there. The knowledge is there. The info's there. Go to the government website. They're going to be able to go for. It was a phenomenal debate. I really appreciate that. I wouldn't say phenomenal. I would say that it was an ass whooping on his part. He got his ass whooped. I still like to debate the guy. I am morally against everything he pretty much stands for. I think we can all agree upon the Gavin Newsom thing, though. The raising the minimum wage is a little bit too much. It's a little bit too crazy. And the reason I say it's too much is because he left out Panera Bread. And I think that's where Common Grounds Live and I would differ, is where I say I think the minimum wage did need to go up. But, I think that leaving out Panera Bread was the thing that Vivo, right? This shows you this is the problem with politicians, right? Term limits, everybody. Term limits. We have the power to put them in power. We have the power to take them out of power. Term limits, baby. So Common Grounds was talking about, the information is here on the government website, but the media won't tell you that. The media is going to lie to you, and you'll never go to these websites. So let's go to the website. He was talking about, the gas, the prices, and the oil, and this, that, and the other. So let's go right here, okay? So 2013 to 2023, 2024 numbers aren't out because we're fucking in 2024. So if we go here, we're looking, and you see right here, million barrels per day. Average annual crude oil in condensate products from top 3 global producers, 2013 and 2023, we have Russia, Saudi Arabia, and the United States. You see that in 2013, the Obama administration were just underneath 8 million barrels a day. We climb up in 2014 Still Obama administration. We climbed up. Okay. They like to say that Obama killed it. He didn't kill it. It went up. Okay. There you go. And Russia number one here, right? Just at 10 million barrels. 10 million barrels. A little bit north of 10 million. A little bit more north of 10 million. And then we keep on going, right? So let's jump to Trump. So 2016 happens and bam. Whoa. Less than Obama. What? No way. I mean, this can't be. Can it? The Trumpinator. The guy who's freeing the oil. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's get moving here. 2017. Right here. What? No way. We're still less than Obama. That's insane. And Obama didn't have to do anything. He was leaving office. He was like, chunk and deuce, I'm out. Y'all are voting for the next person. Hope my girl Hillary gets it. And he was out, right? So here we go. 2017, 2018. We finally take over. Okay, so it took Trump a while. It took Trump a while to go forward and take over from previously. I'd be interested to see what was happening in 2012 all the way down in 2008 when Obama won. You know, the crash of 2008 was not good, so that was probably not going to be a good year, but I'm happy to attach those numbers to Obama if we bring up these numbers later, which these numbers are factual. They're from the government website. If we go to 2018 here, bam, United States all the way up here. 2019, woo, that's crazy. We just populating and populating and populating. And this is Trump's best year is 2019. Now, you know 2019 is famous because of course, the pandemic, COVID-19. What happens? Boom, we drop. But I thought Trump was unlocking oil. I thought he was unlocking the energy of black ooze on the earth, right? The carbon fuels, the fossil fuels there, the carbon footprint, you know, he was supposed to be doing that. Why did we go down? Why did we stay stagnant for 2 years? What happened? I thought you were the guy who could make it all happen. And then boom, we start to go up again. Okay. Now here's what happened, right? The pandemic was here. A lot of people were laid off. There was oil companies that were paying people to hold barrels of oil for them because they just couldn't sell it because people weren't driving. So this is ultimately what happened here. But remember, like I said in the last episode, and I'm going to say it in every episode, if you can't attach the good numbers to a president, then we can't attach the bad, right? So if we're not going to give credit where credit is due, then we can't give blame where blame is due. And that's what's important. I'm over here defending Trump during this time frame. But here's the thing, right? Here we go. Boop. Up into 2023. Here we go, right? So we have these numbers right here, 2016. We have these numbers right here. Look at what Biden's doing during this time frame. We are doing good. So you mean to tell me the election was here in 2020, right? Election went down a little bit, but this is election, right? And then boom, we go to 2021. Same thing. Biden's so anti-oil. Boom, 2022, we go up. What happened? That's pretty much right there where Trump was at during his best year. In fact, 2022 was better than the other 3 years that Trump was in office. Okay. What about 2023? Bam. Bam. Better than Trump's best year. But see, they don't want you to know this because they just have talking points. They just have talking points that are told to them on, you know, Fox News radio or conservative talk shows on the way into work in the morning. And all they do is they sit there in traffic and they don't ever think about what they're being told. They digest everything. It gets absorbed into their brain. And all they do is regurgitate word salad to be able to go forward and defend Donald Trump. They actually can't debate. And that's one of the things. That's why I have it up there. Debate me. Send me a whisper. No one sent me a whisper. I've had several people in that were just chilling in the chat, but no one wants to debate because Republicans today, conservatives today, don't know how to debate. I'm a Republican. I'll debate. No problem. But Republicans today don't know how to debate. Conservatives are too scared to debate. They're too big snowflakes. And this shows it right here. They can't. You know, we can talk about when Trump won and everyone who was crying and, you know, we can call them snowflakes. But the thing is that people were crying when Donald Trump lost. So aren't you just snowflakes as well? So if we go through and we look at these numbers here, you'll see the Republicans have been doing nothing but lying to everyone, nothing but trying to convince you, brainwash you, make you drink the Kool-Aid to say that Joe Biden is against drilling oil. Here in 2023, the most previous year, he has had the most oil drilling in the past 10 years. If you look at the last 3 presidencies that are running through this timeline here, Joe Biden is drilling more oil than anyone else. What up, T-Dog? Welcome in, T-Dog. I know you're out in the middle of the Black Lagoon Sea of Texas, out in the oil fields. And, the thing is your family is tied to oil. I can tell you that Joe Biden is doing nothing but good things for your family. Y'all aren't going without missing meals. Y'all ain't going that. There's no way. We are drilling, and we are drill, baby, drill. Trump's famous word. We're doing more oil right now in 2023 than Trump did in his best year of 2019 as president. Now, did Trump do well? Yeah, he did. The election was 2016. We go right here. We go 2016. We get a little bit better. We get a little bit better. We get a little bit better. Great. That's great for Trump. But if we look, Joe Biden has already done better. Also, it's important to know that, bam, we had a drop here, okay? The 2020 election. Remember, Trump was still president during this time. What happened? Biden, a little bit better, a little bit better. No problem. And also, not even a little bit better. We're better in 2023 than we were during 2019, when America was drilling the most oil that it had. This is the year. 2019 is the year that Republicans will tell you, what up, double, thanks for the lurk. 2019 is the year that Republicans will tell you that this was the year for Trump. They look at all the stats, right? But this is coming from the government website. This is the EIA.gov. This is the I can't remember what the acronym is. The International Energy Statistics, and this is for the Energy Information Administration. This is basically the Department of Energy, right? The Department of Energy is going through. During 2019, Trump was president. Bam, we were rocking it. Go Trump, right? But look at this, Biden rocking it even more. Biden is way outproducing Trump at this point. So if we're at what, 12.4 million barrels a day, we are at 13.2, 13.4, somewhere's in there, million barrels a day under Biden. Wow. What happened? I thought the conservative talk points were that Biden sucks at oil production. What happened here, right? I don't know if y'all heard, but Trump is also, now this clip I'm going to play, right? It was taken out of context a little bit, but the important thing to remember is that this is what Trump does, right? He'll say things, they're word salad, and he puts things together. So a lot of media doesn't know what to do with this. But if you listen to what Trump says, it's just violence. It's violence nonstop.
Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. Now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that
100%.
comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it.
I don't know what he meant by if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath when he was talking about cars, right? We can talk about how jobs will go away and it'll be a bloodbath, but it's important to remember that if you're going to put a 100% tariff on the cars coming from Mexico, then that's every effing car that we drive in America that is a domestic produced car. We've got cars. We've got Ford. We've got Toyota. We've got Chevy, we've got GMC, we've got Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler. All those cars are assembled in Mexico. So we get a 100% tariff on all that? Now, I know that we can't take Trump for his word. He's a liar. We can't take him for his word. The point is the guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about, right? And even if he was trying to say that when he loses the election, it's going to be a bloodbath because of the outpouring, I'd believe him. We saw what happened on January 6th. We know exactly what's going to happen if he loses again. And that's why the United States military is going to have to be ready, right? We can't have another January 6th happen. How the hell do you put 100% tariff like he knows what the tariff is? He is just saying word salad, Tater. You know, chat, like, it's just what he's saying is word salad. You know, Tater, I mean, like, we've talked about this, right? Like, the guy is just saying things. Anything to get a rise out of people is all that he's saying. And it is what it is, right? Like, this is what conservatives do. This is conservative talk radio. This is inbred into them. This is why you get this like white Christian nationalist movement, and they act like they know what they're talking about. You know, like Second Amendment, you know, of the right to bear arms. The Second Amendment isn't the right to bear arms. It's the right to form a well-regulated militia. The funny thing about that is it says well-regulated. Okay, well-regulated militia. All right, a militia that can back the military if the military is, you know, disarmed, is impeded, is in another battle, and things like that. We have a well-regulated militia. Yet again, regulated militia. So conservatives don't say anything that is true. What they're doing is brainwashing you to think something. I'll tell you, you can ask 10 conservatives what the Second Amendment is. They'll all tell you that the Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. Now, does it boil down to the right to bear arms? Yes, it is the right to bear arms. But you got to remember that that's not what it is, right? It's not just the right to bear arms. And even if it is the right to bear arms, you know what's funny is you go down that argument. Just take the argument. For any of you looking to debate anyone on this, just take the argument and go, all right, so that's not what it says, but let's keep going. So the right to bear arms sounds good. What do we got? Yo, Sudden A. Polo, thank you so much for the follow. So even though we just take that, right? If we're going to take the argument, the right to bear arms, and we go with it. So let me ask you, what does the right to bear arms mean? Well, if the military has it, then we should have it too. Okay, so it's important to note that the military isn't losing guns. They're assigned to soldiers. If a soldier loses a gun, they're reprimanded. They can face court-martialing. They have to go through and face financial fines. They have to go forward and have an investigation. But see, that they're not going to mention that, right? They also haven't thought about that, but they also don't know that, right? Like a lot of people that are pro-Second Amendment that don't actually know what the Second Amendment stands for, they've never served in the military. And for those that have, there are people, my father, my stepfather ended up, serving in the military. He also says the right to bear arms. He doesn't know it either. He's never looked it up. He's also not a debater. He's a retrumplican, a funk trumplican, you know. Pretty sure the military has drones that us civilians can't. So here's the thing, right? They'll say that I want to have whatever the military has, right? But what's funny to remember is that the military still like regulates everything. That you have to qualify to get a gun. It's not like you sign up for the military and you're like, all right, let's take the AVAB, right? Or the SVAB or whatever the test is that you take to be able to get placed in the military, right? And for those of you that are not 18 and have not heard about this or do not know anyone that has gone through, pretty much what you have to do is you have to take a test. You say, I want to sign up for the military. That's great. And I salute anyone that wants to do that, right? So for the next couple minutes, give me some leeway here. But you go through, you sign up for the military. And when you sign up for the military, you end up going through and basically taking a test, and it's a placement test. It's not going to rank you, you know, that you got 100%, you got 75%, and, you know, like you've passed the test, right? The idea is just a placement test. If you get a ASVAB, there you go, 91st percentile myself. Look at that, man. So you yourself would have had a very, high amount or open career, right? If you've placed in the 91st percentile, upper 90%, magna cum laude, you know, if you end up in that time frame or in that percentage frame, you would have had a lot of options ahead of you for the military. But for those of you that don't know about the ASVAB, when you place, it's about giving you the score, but it's not about saying that you've passed or failed. The idea is if you've passed, like Tater here has gone in the 90%, you have several options at your disposal. If you're like, I really want to be, you know, like someone in the front lines with a gun and this, that, and the other, you know, if I really want to be a minesweeper, if I really want to be a water guy, if I really want to do this, if I want to do that, you know, not quite nuclear, but if you want to go forward and be like radar tech or a fire controlman or ordnance, you can do that kind of stuff. But if you place 50%, half the jobs are gone. You no longer get to just go into certain things when you have a 50 percentile passing on the ASVAB. Then if you go 20%, pretty much we're like, all right, so we love you and you get to be in infantry. And no offense to anyone who's been in infantry, but they're the ones that normally get fired at first. They are called bullet fodder normally. These are the troops that go in. They're not going to be the highly sought after troops. They're still needed, right? We still have a military. It's still armed. That's not the thing. And I also respect everyone in the military. I didn't go into the military. I now as an adult wish I did, but I didn't. And I was just a stupid kid. But even with that being said, I respect everyone in the military. I think that if you're in the infantry, that's great. I think if you're on a nuclear submarine, that's great. I think if you're a pilot, that's great. But if you are underneath a certain percentage level, they're going to just put you in that infantry, is my point. So if they put you in that infantry, then you're kind of shut off from society, right? Like you're not able to get to the point of in military, like higher society. You're not going for the nuclear programs or the fire controlman programs or whatnot. So yeah, Tater, you could pretty much choose any path. So you had a lot of paths. My brother-in-law who's in the military, he actually, I can't remember what his ADVAB score was, but ultimately he could have done anything, including nuclear, but he decided that he wanted to be fire control. So he does radars and things like that, which is a very high and sought after, position as well. And it's really neat too. You get a lot of, things and you end up with different clearances, obviously. That's pretty neat. So with that being said, that's kind of how the military works, right? I can't even remember how we got on this topic because this has been going on so long. We're talking about the ASVAB. But ultimately, if, you know, people were going through, it was supposed to be telecommunication before I was medically DQ'd. Got telecommunications, yeah. I mean, that's up there with FC and radar tech, you know? Telecommunications, right? I mean, that's pretty much up there. I think you probably got to be a pretty smart person to be able to do telecommunications. In the United States military, I would say. But the point being is that there's the ASVAB. For those of y'all that don't know, T-Dog, this is for you mainly, I see in chat. And the ASVAB is going to put you in that placement, right? So that's how the military works. But when you are in the military and you go forward, you still have to qualify for weapons. You don't just sign up for the military. You get put in placement of, you know, nuclear program. And you're going to be like, all right, cool. So give me my machine gun, right? No, you got to qualify for it. You got to go through quals. You got to go forward. You got to start with a pistol. You got to move up a couple of pistols. And if you go to rifles, you got to move up a couple of rifles and eventually get to a point that they're going to be like, look, you're not going to need a fully automatic machine gun on a submarine that's holding nuclear bombs. It's a nuclear powered submarine. So we're not even going to worry about it. You're going to be using this noggin, not this noggin. So go forward and do what you do. But it's important to remember that for us civilians, the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, which is the right to form a well-regulated militia, is that the military also regulates the people that are in their military. You have to qualify. And I don't want to infringe on anyone's rights, especially their Second Amendment rights. But my point being is that, you know, couldn't it be all that we could do as a Congress with both halves of this chamber to be able to put some laws together that agrees that, you know what, you can have any damn gun you want, but you got to qualify for it. We need to know about it, and we need to know where you're storing it, because this is the exact same argument that conservatives make for guns in the Second Amendment. In knowing that a tyrannical government, right? I don't want them to know how many guns I have, but the government knows how many guns they have. Who in their government has guns? And that's part of the regulated portion, right? So therefore, you would qualify for the regulation, right? Either way. Whenever they start talking their nonsense, all you end up hearing is Gary Busey. That's all you hear.
Let's talk about your cable ace award.
Let's talk about buttered sausage.
Let's talk about buttered
sausage, where it comes from, what it does, why is it doing what it's doing, get it out of my face. What about buttered sausage?
That's not your jam. It's not your thing. You don't like it?
It's not my jam. I don't buy jam. I buy honey, and I kiss it on the lips.
Oh my goodness, fantastic! So the sound bites are just going to be rolling in now on the shows, guys. I did a lot of work over the weekend. For those of y'all that didn't watch the intro VOD, please watch the VOD. Get the intro; it's a fantastic intro. I'm going to make a couple alternatives, but ultimately, I am in love with it. I've been listening to it all week. It's been fantastic. So we got one more topic to talk about. So. T-Dog, this is a little bit above your head, my guy, being 11 years old, and I would ask that you sayonara out of here right now. But I can't do anything because I have this stream listed as a adult stream, so it is what it is. You're supposed to actually be 12 years or older to be on Twitch anyway, but with that being said, one of the things that we got to talk about is here at the end of it all, I love the long S on the lips. I know it is funny. It's funny. Garrett Busey is funny in general. We got to talk about how it is 2024 and the Olympics are here. And we can talk all we want about the Olympics and how fun it is. But one of the unforeseen problems is, and don't worry, we're getting back into politics on this. Okay. One of the unforeseen problems that we have here, oh my goodness, it timed me out, is that you're going to go forward. And can we get it back? There we go. So we've got the 2024 Olympics. Sex is back at the Olympic Village, Paris, and they are ordering in Paris 300,000 condoms will be available at Olympic Village. Can you believe this? Now, what's interesting about this is during Tokyo, the condoms weren't really a thing because of COVID, so on and so forth, but everyone was getting disqualified for having COVID, right? So we know what was going on. But what's funny is, in fact, there was actually a time, I believe it was in Australia back in 1988, if I'm remembering correctly from what I did the research, that they actually ran out of condoms. In 1988, Australia ran out of condoms. I assume it was Sydney, Australia. They would have run out of condoms, and I think they had 70,000. So 300,000 condoms are going to be going to the Olympic Village. We don't know what brand yet. Is it Duramax or Durex? Duramax. Is it Durex? Is it Trojan? Is it Lifestyles? I don't know. But it's going to be 300,000 condoms. Can you imagine being the customs border agent who is signing over this? Now, the sad thing is we talk about politics and we get into this, right? So 300,000 condoms moving their way to France. This could only happen there. I tell you, if it happened here, I don't know what exactly would happen because there's so many... Gotta be magnums with all those top tier athletes, bro. The thing is, though, is it going to be magnums or is it going to be like below average size? Because they have, they're shooting up and they're doing different things. How many Russians are disqualified and people are disqualified every year for roids? All that. Plus, it is a known fact that if you actually do work out your body and you use a lot of muscles, you end up having smaller testicles. And for men, having smaller testicles, having a smaller penis. So with that being said, this is truly insane amount of condoms. But hey, more power to y'all as y'all go through and do whatever it is that y'all do while representing the fine countries of the world at the Olympics, right? Now, the reason I bring this up is it is an interesting tidbit that we get to segue into our final moments here tonight, and it's going to be about the White Christian Nationalist Movement, Project 2025. We're going to talk about that more next week. We're going to talk about Project 2025, unless there's some crazy events that happen over the next week. Hopefully, next week we'll be talking about Trump's assets being seized in New York, as we talk about white Christian nationalist movement that is happening with Project 2025, this kind of thing is what they're trying to stop, right? This is just good, wholesome, not family friendly, but fun that consenting adults are having in the Olympics, and they are relieving stress from the stressful situation. If it was up to the white Christian nationalist movement that we have going on here in America and in other developed countries, sex would not be a thing that is going to be happening, right? Like, unless you're procreating for children, because we've got to, breed to have more children and so on and so forth. So I personally just don't understand how we've gotten to this point where we have white Christian nationalism moving into play. They say that, they want to basically have like the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, like sitting by our bedsides, monitoring our sex life, but whatever, so here's a reel that I found on TikTok. I took the audio from, it was a fantastic thing. It's only part of the clip, but it's still funny. No, it didn't load. I'm gonna back out real quick so we can load this. So it's important to remember that see if it will go now. It did not. Well, darn it. Tell you what though. I've got the raw footage. I just don't have it as sound. It's a video. Should be this one, I would think. Nah, that's not it. This one?
Yeah.
Nope.
Now, if I don't get elected.
Let's talk about your...
I'm a Christian mom. I don't let my kids have demonic Pokemon cards because they might accidentally open up a portal to hell. But we believe faith over fear. I'm a Christian mom. And I'm pregnant again. Yay! I'm a Christian mom. Yay. I teach my kids that being gay is a choice. And I'm a walking testimony. Because even I was attracted to some of my girlfriends. And I'm so glad I chose their dad. I'm a Christian mom, and I know that we're going to outbreed those evil leftists because no child of a conservative ever grows up to be liberal. I'm a Christian mom,
So good. I loved it. It was fantastic. You caught my phone there at the end. I was going to edit it out, but I don't know why it wouldn't load. Every other soundbite loaded today other than that. But, yeah, so I just found that on TikTok. I thought it was hilarious. These white Christian nationalists want to go through and stop people from having the freedoms that we've had as humans, right? Like in the Bible, they're talking about, Adam and this person and that person and Ezekiel and Isaac and Sarah and these people. Like everyone's doing it in the Bible. Your brother dies, take his wife, no problem. Like get on over here. So like my thing is like people are just doing it in the Bible, right? And here we are. God's doing it in the Bible, everybody. God's doing it in the Bible. The Holy Spirit's going down and is making babies. Mary's got, her whole religion with Jesus starting here. And yet again, here we are. White Christian nationalists, we don't have children or we don't have sex unless it is to bear children. I don't know what the hell they're going on. And the problem is that's why you end up with 14, 18, 25 kids in some of these families. And a lot of these children are committing suicide, are going through and abusing themselves or abusing others. We look at the Duggars, right? The family of the Duggars. You look at the Duggars. Ultimately, we end up with those people that, just a sad, upsetting TLC group of people for TLC show, 19 kids accounting, I think is what it was. They ended up getting up to 20 or 21. And they just started having miscarriages. It was sad. And they keep saying, well, God will give us a sign when he wants us to stop having kids. I think like the second or third or fourth miscarriage might be a sign from God that you do not need to have any more children. The sad thing is, they had a couple of miscarriages, then they had some, kids that made it to term, and then they had a couple more miscarriages again. But ultimately, when you have that many kids, you're in the gene pool, and you're in the lottery of the gene pool of, am I going to have a serial killer? Am I going to have regular kids? Am I going to have homosexual kids? Am I going to have straight kids? Am I going to have kids that have no problems, kids with problems? All these things are a number, right? It's part of like the gambling, right? And the more these kids that they have, they're shocked to find out that, like 3 or 4 of their 20 kids is gay, part of the LGBTQ community. And it's like, well, yeah, because it's an actual quantifiable percentage of the population. So, yep, exactly. So with that being said, yeah, it's truly insane that these white Christian nationalists are making these movements. You know, they're backing people. The funny thing is they're backing Trump, right? The white Christian nationalists are backing Trump, and Trump doesn't even know about it. He might like a couple of people. Good girl, Crystal, what it do? Welcome in, welcome in. So, you know, the white Christian nationalists are backing people like Trump and whatnot, and we're not saying that Trump is fully backing these people, right? So that's the important thing to remember here is a lot of politicians are being guided. And the thing is Trump is being guided as well. He's being guided by these white Christian nationalists. So I think that he's aware that these people exist. He's aware that these people are in and around him. I just don't think that he's aware of what the big plan is. But their big plan is Project 2025. Going to kind of roll back some of the civil liberties that we have in America. We're going to stop people who are consenting adults from being able to make choices with their body for their sexual partners and whatnot. We're also going to stop the just normal casual, consensual sex between two adults to be able to have fun, relieve stress, whatever. If you want to have kids, great, go have kids. No one's stopping you. We're not China. Like, no one's stopping you. But the thing is that, you know, they were making statements about the Paris Olympics and how this is just sickening and it's sinful and whether don't bring your religion to our government. Okay, no one's asking you to. The founding fathers didn't want this. It's in there. Separation of church and state. This is not what we wanted. And it's just really upsetting that this is where we've gotten to. But it is a fun thing to think about for the Paris Olympics here in 2024. We've got 300,000 condoms being ordered. That is truly a staggering amount of condoms. Yet again, this just in, we know that 300,000 condoms are being ordered for Paris Olympics, but we don't know the brand. According to Tater Salad here earlier, he's thinking that they're going to be Magnums. I don't think so, because we all know that true athletes do not have larger members due to physical strain and or roids. And I'm going to stick with it. I'm sure you're going to get a couple people that break the mold, but ultimately it just doesn't back it, right? Like, these are the guys, that's why they have big muscles and everything, is they're showing off because they ain't packing anything. They got to make something of themselves, right? So this is where they're at. I feel sorry for the people, the partners of these people. I also feel sorry for the partners of people with jacked up trucks, because, you know, those are little big man syndrome. I am a truck driver myself. I get big trucks driving around me erratic all the time. I think that it's crazy that those guys are, you know, really buying a very large truck or buying a regular size truck and upgrading it to a large truck for a reason. But anyway, yeah, so that was what I wanted to hit up tonight. Hopefully, we're going to be back Friday. We're going to have a debate with Common Grounds Live. In fact, I'm going to hit him up here in just a couple minutes and see if we're still doing that. But I did want to bring up this stuff with you guys today. And if you hadn't seen the VOD, please watch the VODs that we have that are coming out. I've got shorts that pop up on YouTube and on TikTok. Thank you so much, Tater, for all the follows this week on TikTok. You know, one of the things I'm finding is TikTok is hit or miss. Sometimes I do good, sometimes I don't. It's way better than YouTube. And if you guys have not already joined the Discord, you're able to hit me up. I'm thinking about tomorrow's going to be the weekly newsletter. I owe you guys two. Last week was really insane. So hopefully maybe tomorrow evening, I'll be able to write that for you guys and get one out. Then I'll get one out on Friday. This week has been pretty busy, but I see it being a pretty smooth weekend as it approaches here. But yeah, I'll see you guys Friday. Other than that, guys, hopefully y'all are going to have a good evening, and I'll catch you guys next time.